Tell us about that middle again.
Well, this is when you complete the Tarawera Ultra Marathon 100 miles event. It's the only distance on where, when you finish the distance, you don't DNF, you're awarded a ponomo to say you completed it. So there is a whole bunch of ponomos at the end of the race, and you choose one. The thing about that race for me was the 160 kilometers, right? And I'd done the 100 kilometers Tapo Ultra before, and that was challenging. But then I kind of felt a little bit too maybe cocky and said, okay, I can do 160. I'm ready for 100 miles, because around the 100 miles is some sort of like milestone of trail running. It's like, oh, I've done 100K, I can do 100 miles, but 100 miles is a different game.
Yeah.
It's a different game. It was me facing the night, being tired, being in pain, and I started hallucinating. Talked about my hallucinations, my child drawings. Right, I had the cardboard cutout wolf, and my shadow was like dancing with me, like woo. And branches on trees started to become snakes. So I stabbed one with my hiking poles at one stage. So it was, and as soon as you see the daylight, as soon as the sunlight comes, everything stops. It's almost like you've been running, almost in a coma, like sleeping. You sleep running, like there's hallucinations, there's this fatigue, and then all of a sudden you woke up. And it's like, wow, okay, I'm on a kilometer 100 something now, almost to the end, 120. Yeah, that's when I woke up again. It's like,
wow.
Yeah.
You still have another full marathon to do, really.
Yeah. I had another full marathon to do.
Okay.
over terrain. It's not like running a flat.
Marathon.
Yeah, cross country marathon. Yeah.
Okay.
It was very interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
How long did it take you to recover from that?
Oh, I do remember that was like the best sleep I ever had. I finished after the race. It's like we went to the hotel and I just boom.
Yeah.
I was done, and it took me maybe 3 weeks to recover from that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it does. Yeah, your body sort of like take a toll on that one.
What do you mean 2 or 3 weeks to recover? How did you feel for that 2 or 3 weeks?
Oh, I feel okay. Like the first three days is probably the worst.
In what way? How did you feel?
It's just like you in a lot of like pain. Your legs are very stiff, and you're still recovering from. Your entire body is in pain. Even my fingertips were in pain. It's like you feel not pain, but you feel fatigued everywhere. Yeah, and it really does. And you kind of have to start from base.
How do you mean?
I mean, like you can't just go, oh, okay, I'm going to run a marathon today, or I'm going to run 10K. You have to start from, let me run slowly again. Let me just try to run slowly. Was that mine or yours?
I guess yours.
Oops, sorry about that.
That's right.
So yeah, you had to return from base. You have to start training again. And then not long after that, I'd done the North Burn second time, the one that I proposed to my... So 1 month later...
A month later?
Yeah.
3 weeks to recover.
Probably wasn't the wisest thing. It probably wasn't the wisest thing I'd done. But I did it. I went there and completed the North Burn 50 kilometers. And the plan next year is I'm not going to do Tarawera again, but I'm going to go back to North Burn to do North Burn 100 miles. Now, North Burn 100 miles is a difficult race.
Why is it?
The elevation. So you're going to have the hallucinations plus the elevation that you don't have in Tarawera. And I also, before that, Northburn is in March. And before that, I will do the Revenant.
Yeah.
That is going to be my, probably, I would consider my biggest challenge. It's 200 kilometers. And I think you have like 60 hours to complete. And you have to pass an interview. I done the interview with them. It's like they ask you.
Pre-test.
Yeah, they kind of want to know if you're crazy. Basically, it's like, are you crazy? Are you have?
What are you supposed to say? Is it better to say
No,
yes or no?
No, I'm not crazy. I want to do it because, and I remember my answer was like, because they ask you why do you want to run the Revenant? Because it's 200 kilometers. You're also not allowed any digital device.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Compass and a map, and they give you the map in the day, so you don't
On
know
the day.
you don't know the course either.
Okay.
So for 2 years, no one completed it, and we're talking about Marines, SAS guys, Army dudes. They actually select those
Is this
people.
run here or in the States?
It's here.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's in South Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in Arrowtown,
Oh, yeah.
close to Queenstown. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. And yeah, I would say I will go there with the intention to complete it. For me, if I don't, it's training. I also want to race the UTMB in France. The reason why I went to Tarawera is to collect the points to race the race.
What is that one? UTMB? Or?
UTMB is the Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc, and is the golden, the mecca of all trail runners. They all want to race the UTMB. And I heard it when I first did that, the Valley Ultra. A friend of mine, love that guy, Charlie, we're really good friends to now. And he told me all about the points, the world ranking system, and then I sort of like, okay, I'm obsessed now. I want to race the UTMB. How do you do it? So you have to be on the world ranking ticked. You have to race one of the World Series events, which Tarawera was one of them.
Okay, cool.
I'm gonna race another World Series event in September in Brazil. I visit my family.
Nice.
And one of those races have to be more than 100 kilometers or 100, and then you're eligible to enter the lottery.
Okay.
To enter the race. It's not like even though you've done all those things, you still have a lottery to go.
Right.
But yeah, every trail runner wants to race the UTMB. It's like their emotional pinnacle, I would say. It is pretty cool. The UTMB is one of the races I want to do. The Tour de Jean is one of the races I want to do.
You mentioned before Scott Jurek.
Scott Jurek,
Going back
yeah.
to the
Vegan scene, yeah.
Now, he's one great runner, certainly,
Yeah.
who's vegan. But out of all the international set of trail runners around the world, what percentage do you think are on this vegan?
I would say
thing?
I haven't looked too deeply, but that is a great list.
Yeah.
It's a great list. And the ones that are not vegan, they are vegetarian, or they do during their training. Can correct me.
Or something.
They go plant-based, or it's just that. And I took that. I took all those. Scott Jurek wasn't the only one that I look upon, and despite of them being vegan, they're also vegetarian, and they also, a lot of them do take considerations the brands, right?
How do you mean?
Like, for example, we mentioned La Sportiva, right? Just before, I don't want to make any advertisement, but I look upon those brands that take some sustainability.
Okay.
So there is a runner, there is some brands that take a lot of that. And for example, La Sportiva, if you go buy a shoe from them, you have a percentage of how much recycled material was used on the laces,
Okay.
how much recycled material was used on the shoes, on the sole. Not only the shoe. It's not like this sort of BS statement is like the shoe is 80% recycled. They actually break it down to which parts of the shoe is recycled or not. So that for me is more important because they not even you can actually look it up.
Okay.
It's very hard for them because they can get caught on that.
Right.
So they actually giving percentages on actually specific parts of the product.
So it's verifiable and
It's
not greenwash.
Yeah, it's not greenwash. It's not
Okay.
like, oh, this product is 99%, but what part? You know,
Yeah. The box.
the box. Yeah. Another Innovate does a lot
What's
of. Innovate is another brand.
Shoes.
Shoes.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Don't have Innovate shoes, but I heard good things about their sustainability thing.
Right.
We talked about Tailwind, and
Tell us about Tailwind.
yeah, well, I first time I saw them just by a glance, it was through on Valley Ultra, and people seem to in New Zealand to say Tailwind is treated electrolytes. So it's a brand of recovery drink and recovery nutrition, and also electrolytes, carbs during the race, or endurance fuel and recovery fuel. And the one thing that I got to other brands always makes me like tummy ache, when I actually, some gels. And so this is actually liquid and is 100% vegan. Both the recovery, the protein shake that they have, and the endurance fuel, the one that you use during the race. And because of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to give them a try. And I tried the product. And I love the product. And then I keep annoying them. It's like, hey, can I be an ambassador for the product? Keep them annoying them like every week about it. And then they suddenly saying, oh, in August we're going to have another, in June, we're going to have another selection of ambassadors. You should apply. And after I completed Taupo Ultra, I decided, okay, I'll apply. Because Taupo was my first 100K. I said, for me, running 100K, my silly mentality was like, I earned it. Okay, they have to. And in that 100K, I didn't use the electrolytes product on the race. I was with my Tailwind bags. And I was perhaps eating fruit and potato chips.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really eat the 8-station lollies because they give me stomachache. A lot of people do because they want the energy, but the problem with it's sugar, right? So the energy is very fast and they crash very fast as well. So potato chips, my Tailwind, I would put my Tailwind in the sachet, put water in it, shake it, put it back, easy peasy, And for majority of the race, I just used the Tailwind product.
Okay.
Got me through it.
Great.
Got me through it, yeah.
Very good.
And because it got me through it, because it got me, first of all, vegan, second of all, it doesn't give me stomach issues, then it's like, again, like I said, if I believe in the product, if I believe in the company, then I'm going to bother them until, I'm going to annoy them until they give me something back, or until I can give back to them, because the other thing for me is like being part of this team, the Tailwind, that we call the Tailwind Trailblazers. It actually pushes you to become better.
They push you?
They push you. Yeah.
How do
Well, I run with them, so I wanted to run with them. I wanted to run like them. So, and because they're really good, a lot of those guys are like elite athletes. You got Katie Wright, who's a Tailwind, who done the Barkley marathons.
Barkley?
Yeah.
Okay. Which ones are they?
Well, the Barkley marathons is it's another thing that a lot of trail runners want to do, but it's the most difficult race. One of the most difficult, considered the most difficult ultra trail running in the world.
Why is that? Where are they held?
It's held in America.
Okay.
you do a series of loops through the forest again with no just compass.
Just a compass.
Just a compass and a map.
Wow.
It's like we're talking about the Revenant. The Revenant is considered the Berkeley of New Zealand.
Ah, okay.
Because of that sort of difficulty, and always one or two or no people completed. And this year, it was the second time in history 3 people completed the Berkeleys.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And the first time in history, four people was in the final loop. Damian Hall, which is one athlete that I really enjoy. Really on to him. He's pretty cool.
Why do you admire him so much?
I admire him because he comes from. I read his book in the long run.
Okay.
And
that's great.
I relate to him because he's not a guy that has been always this elite sportsman. He was a journalist.
Oh yeah.
And he used to go write. He writes about running in a sports event.
Cool.
But he was becoming so good at it. He finished the UTMB in 5th in one instance.
Wow. Right.
And it was like amazing.
Yeah.
And there was one line on his book that always is on the back of my head almost every day. He says, at some point I need to decide if I want to become a runner that writes or a writer that runs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh God.
It's a good line.
Yeah, it's a good line. And I was like, oh, so yeah, when they had to decide if I want to become a software engineer that runs or a runner that does software engineering. Mm-hmm. Because running is becoming my identity. Mm-hmm. I work for running. Mm-hmm. I go and see my kids because of running.
How do you mean?
I mean, running pushes me to be a role model. So I want my kids to be involved or to know that I am doing this healthy path, not only for them but for other people as well. Because before running, I mentioned to you I was depressed, obese, alcoholic, and running sort of saved me from actually, I want to say, ending my life. And everything else came with running, like the tailwind, my fiance, my ambassadorship. People actually come to me and say, how do you do it? And then do tips. But I used to be the guy on the bottom of the barrel, so I can actually tell them how to get there, or at least have some insight. So I cannot, don't see just the tip of the iceberg. There was a whole bunch of things that I had to do in order to get there, and that's what I mean. Become a role model, not only for my kids, but all those people that trying to. Maybe I'm struggling with smoking. Maybe I'm struggling with alcoholism. Maybe I'm struggling with drugs. In my path to get out of that world, it was running, and it offered me new friendships like yourself, like Stevie, like Aaron, like Charlie, like Mark. And all of those people came out of this positive outcome. And I own to running to meet all those people.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell us more about nutrition then. How do you get enough, not protein, but...
Okay.
No,
are we going to go there?
No. Carbohydrate is what I was going to say.
Carbs.
How do you feel full enough of the time to train and sleep without being hungry all the time?
That's a good question, though, because one person asked me, aren't you hungry all the time? And the short answer to that, yes, I'm hungry all the time. I burn about 3,700 calories a day on my training, and I do eat a lot of potatoes, I do eat a lot of kumara, I do eat a lot of spinach. My dinner as soon as I was start making it, it looks like a mountain of lentils, rice, spinach, and mushrooms.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes I do vegan spaghetti. I also do my smoothies, which I have beetroot, banana, blueberries, protein, creatine in these smoothies every day. As a matter of fact, I actually start with
Start the day with a smoothie.
the smoothie,
Right.
yeah. With the green smoothie. Yeah.
Cool.
Mm.
And that, okay. What's your favorite recipe then? What's your favorite thing that you enjoy eating most regularly? Most often?
Most regularly, what I enjoy? Oh, god damn. I'm actually a big eater, man. I put a plate in front of my face and I'll eat it, being vegan. I enjoy my lentils, rice, spinach.
Mm-hmm.
It's my go-to.
How do you cook it though? It's a
Uh,
recipe.
it's okay. I
It's a
have.
secret recipe. That's
It's not a secret recipe. No, I do have rice and lentils, and I do stir fry it. And I use turmeric. I use cumin. I use salt and pepper, and olive oil, and that's it. Really, it's kind of dry, but I love lentils. Lentils is my favorite beans per se. Is that a bean? I don't know if it's a bean.
Legume?
Legume?
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to check that.
Yeah. Lentils is my favorite. Like, no one here likes lentils, which is good for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Lentils, black beans. I do actually, when I do spaghetti, I do jackfruit. I like doing spaghetti
And
bolognese jackfruit. Man,
Interesting.
freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have it on the fridge. I'm gonna heat it for this 2 days dinner. Actually. So, leftover from yesterday. So, vegan pasta. Actually, thankfully now we have options for that in supermarkets. It was so much difficult back in the day. I think we live in good times to be a vegan, to be honest.
What do you mean? Oh, because
Because of plenty of
products.
options, right?
Yeah. Right. True.
Especially in Wellington area.
That's right.
Kind of blessed.
What's it been like moving from the city to living out here through half the week, most of the week?
It's alright. We brought it up. Honestly, a lot of the times I do some of my shopping in Wellington and I carry my bag to here. Because I would say the more farm areas sort of don't have that amount of options. They do, but you really have to look.
Rice and potatoes and the basics.
Rice, potatoes, the basics they have. But if you want like some fancy
Quinoa?
quinoa they have here.
Yeah?
They have it here.
Okay.
I would say more things like pasta,
Really?
vegan pasta. They don't have it here,
Okay.
so I bring it from Wellington.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. One day I saw it in the supermarket. It's like, wow, finally, they have it. So jackfruit is another one.
Oh yeah.
And I eat a lot of fruits. Like I talked to you before, like vegetables is my thing. As a matter of fact, if I actually look on the dots going back, I've been very fussy. I've always been fussy about meat, but I've never been fussy about vegetables. And also people say, oh, well, how you get your fats? Avocado. How do you get your protein? Lentils. How do you get your iron? Spinach. It's like there's always an answer. And vegetables, Those arguments are so old now, kind of. But there is the argument that people say, oh, but if you eat vegan all the time, you're not gonna be healthy. No, you have to commit. That's one thing that we briefly talked before. It kind of can be picky, really. I think, in my opinion, that's my opinion. You have to commit to be a vegan. It's a commitment to have all your nutrients from plants.
How do you eat B12?
B12 have supplements. As a matter of fact, people that think that vegans are the only people that should have supplements are completely wrong. People that eat meat should have supplements too. And B12, I have supplementation of B12. because plants don't produce B12, and that's okay. I go in the pharmacy, get one B12 a day, vitamin D. You know, I'm on the trails all the time. And I also in my shake, I have a vitamin D thing.
Tell us about being on the trails all the time. How many hours a week do you train now? Just running. And what else do you do?
Well, I work as a software engineer for a time, right? But I'm part of the training department there, and I'm lucky enough that I work 9 to 5, and I can, I don't do like this crazy overtime that a lot of people in the film industry do. Okay. So, and I don't want to. Like I said, running is my life. Work cannot stay in the way of that. If it does, then I can't work for them.